You have in front of you a copy of the identity documents, and they should not be unfamiliar to you. But in light of those new documents, I would like to share something with you about charism as the inspiration for those documents. From Wikipedia, we learn that a charism, the plural is charismata, from the Greek word charis, meaning grace. And it's the divine influence on a receiver's heart and its reflection in his or her life. It's a power, generally of a spiritual nature, believed to be a freely given gift by the grace of God. And that's important. In the study of church matters, it also refers to a particular grace that God has granted to religious founders and their organizations, which distinguish one organization from another within the same church, so that you can have a charism that is Benedictine, or Franciscan, or Dominican, or Charity, or Mercy, or Sacred Heart, or whatever. Charism is a gift of the Spirit that provides the inspiration for the mission, vision, and values of an organization. Any charism that is genuine is a pure gift of God. It is an expression of the Spirit's gift for use and witness in the larger church. Charism attracts people to engage in an overall task together. Charism can be recognized as a lived and a living reality. It is a seed planted in fertile ground. It takes root, it grows and multiplies abundantly, and it bears fruit. Charism can be transplanted to other climates, cultures, and eras, and even to other campuses. It can transcend what we do at a particular juncture in history. It can transcend ethnic differences, social and economic classes, and several generations at a given time. This gift, a charism, has the potential to transform people's lives no matter who they are or where they are. In Evangelica Testificatio, Pope Paul VI said back in 1971 that charism provides a constancy of orientation while allowing for internal growth and change. It is what remains permanent and stable. Charisms do not exist, cannot exist, merely for their own sake, or merely for the sake of those who embrace them. Rather, they exist for the mission of the church, something outside ourselves, and the extension of that charism. Charisms live only in people, not in documents. And even though you have identity documents, this is not the charism. The charism has inspired these. They are gifts given to people, and the charism can captivate and transform the recipient. So my question to you right away is, are you willing to be transformed into this charism or by this charism? And I'll say more about that. And you said, I think I'm out of here right now, you know. No amount of concerted effort can create a charism. You can't all get together and say, okay, at 4:30, we're going to create a charism. Hopefully at 4:30, you're going to say, we will buy into that charism. What is the charism that we are speaking about today that influenced these statements and that influences all the values of this university. Where did it come from? It didn't just happen since last January when the writing committee was putting together these statements. Over 1,500 years ago, a charism was gifted by God to Saint Benedict. And over the centuries, that same charism was likewise gifted to the founding women and men as monasticism spread throughout Europe and then was eventually brought to the United States in the latter half of the 19th century. As a Benedictine myself, I believe that the charism is articulated this way. It has three elements: to seek God in community life according to the rule of Saint Benedict. Not according to the rule of Saint Francis or Dominic, although those are good, but the charism we are speaking about is the one according to the rule of Saint Benedict. So community life, seeking God in community life according to the rule of Saint Benedict. In 1885, that same charism given to Saint Benedict 1,500 years ago was gifted to the founding members of St. Procopius Abbey, Abbot Nepomucene Jaeger. In 1887, those members of St. Procopius Abbey chose to share their charism with the St. Procopius College community and have it permeate and influence all aspects of college life and learning. In 1901, the monks brought this gift, this charism, with them to Lisle and shared it with the people of this locale. That charism, to seek God in community life according to the rule of Saint Benedict, still exists in the lives of the monks and the sisters across the street, and in those monks and sisters who work here at the university. Now listen very carefully to the next line. In those among you who allow that charism to penetrate the very life of this university. It is the air you breathe and the water you drink. It is the brick and mortar that holds all these buildings together. It is the very foundation upon which this university was built and upon which it should continue to exist. It is visible in the most ordinary and sometimes most extraordinary ways. A Benedictine monastic community is a sacrament, and the very simple definition of sacrament is a sign. It is a sign of the presence of God in the world. When you see a Benedictine community, or you visit one, hopefully your mind tells you this is a place of God. By seeking God according to the rule of Saint Benedict, monastics fulfill a ministry in the church that has profound significance and worth. By living the life the way they do, monastics offer others a roadmap for the journey of life. You may not live the same life, but the values that they live, hopefully you can apply to your own life. In a society increasingly obsessed with consumerism and materialism, the gospel lived here according to the rule of Saint Benedict teaches that to be human is of infinite worth and value, not because of what one earns or what one possesses, but because each person is an image of God. In a society where individualism is rampant, the existence of monastic communities in our midst points to the fact that human beings are not isolated egos, but made for communion, made for community with God and with one another, with the earth and with the entire universe. to seek God in community according to the rule of St. Benedict is the charism that should inspire the mission, vision, and values of this university. No amount of concerted effort can create a charism. It is a gift of God. Charisms are gifts of the Spirit to and for the church, to and for the world, to and for this locale. Though charisms live only in people, not in documents, nevertheless, rules, constitutions, bylaws, identity documents, articulation of core values, any kind of other fundamental documents are important because they suggest that if you follow this form of life, you will not be led astray because the charism that inspires it is of God, and you will meet your end. The documents can do no more than suggest the cumulative richness of the lived experience and self-understanding of the community that was initially gifted with the charism. Only people actually embody a charism. Now, if all of the documents were destroyed, but the members were still to survive, others would still be able to grasp the full import of the charism through the living members. Now, if you take the other side of that, if all the members were to cease to exist, but the documents survived, could others be able to grasp the full import of the charism? Would they be able to embody the charism? Or does the charism cease to exist? In a time of chaos and disharmony, the living witness of any genuine charism matters. It announces uniquely and clearly with specific and recognizable characteristics that to seek God, according to the rule of St. Benedict, still has meaning. To say that this university has been inspired by a charism involves a conscious and radical decision. It involves a lifelong endeavor to live according to this charism, to allow it to influence your lives, to permit yourselves to be formed and informed by it, for it, and because of it. The charism belongs to those of you here and now who allow the charism to color, nuance, and undergird all you do and are, all whom you teach, everything that you teach, and your very manner of being. Now, if you want to leave now and you don't want this charism, go. The best expression of the charism is that observed, discovered, and noticed, and present in living persons. As less monastics are on this campus, where does one look? This university needs to put down roots deep into the earth, deep into the charism. And the best articulation of that charism is in this little rule of St. Benedict. Do you know it? Have you read it? Is it important to you in your ministry here? Is it important in your life when you're away from this university? This little rule, as St. Benedict calls it in the last chapter, 73, he says it's just a little rule for beginners. It gives us something to hang on to, something to lead us in a given direction, something to point out the road, something to articulate the charism, something to inspire our mission, vision, and values as a university. This little rule gives us the essentials to to seek God in community life looks like. We have drawn from the rule 10 essential values. We identified them as the 10 hallmarks of Benedictine education. They are not unique to Benedictine University because they were formulated by the Association of Benedictine Colleges and Universities together. These 10, are there 10 here? Okay. These 10 are but some of the Benedictine values. The immersion of these into your mission and vision is essential. Now, the next part is even more critical. Your immersion into them is a mark of your absorption of the charism assigned to all that you are a particular Catholic and Benedictine university. Though St. Benedict says it's just a little rule, and he also says it's for beginners, because we're always beginners. And then he says in the prologue, it's not meant to be harsh and burdensome. But you know what? These Benedictine values may demand a total change, certainly a total focus in the way you relate to life here at this university. The rule of St. Benedict tells you how to do that. These 10 hallmarks transcend time. These values are the filter through which you view the world. They provoke you to see life around you in fresh new ways. Here's another challenge. You cannot keep these values to yourself. You must share them with the world. I believe it is St. Francis who says, preach the gospel always, and if necessary, use words. I think the same applies here. If necessary, use these words, but regularly in your life, live them. I think that these 10 hallmarks, these Benedictine values, are your mission with a small m within what you state as the mission with a capital M in the mission statement. These values summon you to be mindful and to respond in a particular sort of way. They guide your work at this university. You bring something different to your ministry here at this university because of these values. And what you bring is a Benedictine mindset. In agreeing to work here, you agree to accept the Benedictine charism. You agree to put on that Benedictine mindset and permit it to have an impact on all you do in this place and time. And that charism colors and nuances everything you do here, and it colors and nuances the mission and vision of this university. Our mission and vision statements are a clear and concise expression of the unique purpose for which this university exists. They express your commitment to a special distinctiveness. They set this university apart from others like it, that it is Catholic and Benedictine. In stating the mission and vision the way it is, you are buying into these 10 hallmarks of Benedictine education, which give you a common set of values, a common priority, and a common meaning or purpose. A group must have a well-defined purpose. Len Sperry says back in 1990, if you don't know where you are going, you will probably end up somewhere else. Purpose gives meaning, direction, and focus. It releases power and energy and passion and determination to reach a particular end. Everything you do needs an endpoint, something around which you rally, something around which to focus your efforts. In the book of Proverbs in the Old Testament, it says, people without vision get out of hand. To what end point are you deeply committed? What will you make obvious efforts to achieve, both as individuals and as a community at this university? Having a common mission and vision, focusing on common Benedictine values, means that everyone here at this university knows what you're about and what and where you want to be in 10 years. And you know what else? Everyone out there should know what you're about, that you are Catholic and Benedictine. They should know that you bring a particular value, a particular nuance, a particular Catholic and Benedictine coloring to who you are, to what you do, and why you do what you do. They should know that you are under the influence of that charism given 1,500 years ago to Saint Benedict, to seek God in community life according to the rule of Saint Benedict, and that charism is very much alive at this university today. Common values are the attraction factor. They are what make you effective, unique, distinctive, and purposeful. They give meaning to the existence of this university, and they enlighten your mission and values. These values have a prophetic character to them, don't they? They are in many ways countercultural because they are under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. They engage the surrounding culture at its deepest levels and respond to our culture's most profound hungers. St. Benedict says in chapter 4, verse 20, your way of acting must be different from the world's way. The pet challenge before you is to bring these values to bear on the issues of our world today. Do they? You might want to ask yourself some questions. What is going on today that most needs a Benedictine attention? That most needs the impact of these Benedictine values? What is the great Benedictine need in Lisle, in Mesa, in Springfield, in our world, in our politics, in the 21st century? What is it that must be promoted by you now, 10 years from now? And then when you define that, what is most related to the Benedictine charism? What is most translatable to this university? What Benedictine values, concepts, and ideas needs to be brought to your situation? What Benedictine values can this university give to Lisle, to the other campuses on which Benedictine University is located, to the world of Benedictine colleges and universities, to our society today? What are the values you hold most dearly as a university? The ones most important to you personally. They may be different from one university to the next, from one campus to the next, because each university is distinct and unique, and each university expresses the charism in a particular way. Any commitment to something is worth the commitment of our lives, not just some of you, but all of you. It is important to evaluate regularly. You evaluate your students twice a semester or maybe every week. Why not you? You might want to evaluate yourselves each semester. Did we do it? Did we live it? Did we be it? Did I? Do we as a community? Does commitment to these values cost money? Well, someone may be hired to give direct service to this purpose or mission. Someone may be appointed the mission integration director, but that person is only one person and can do only so much. It is the voluntary effort that each one makes to internalize the mission, vision, and values that will have them impact all you do. It is each person who enables the focus to be possible, regardless of your role here at the university, whether you are a faculty or a dean or staff or student. Each one of you brings that special Benedictine mindset that you put on when you agreed to work here. That is what it means to have the Benedictine charism inspire your mission and vision. The rest of life and education does not cease. You go on working and teaching day after day after day, but the values, the small mission, small m mission within the large mission becomes the focus. Colors who you are, colors your activities, colors your university with that special Benedictine rainbow of values. So that everyone here and everyone out there, especially your students, will say, Benedictine University is that place where the people are known for one or another or all of these values. And you cannot keep it to yourself. You must take them to the world. You must take them off of this poster, off of the paper, and share them with the world by the kind of life that you lead. The corporate commitment to the mission, vision, and values gives focused purpose, gives identity, bonds a group around a common goal, and gives you a prophetic presence in our world. Fortunately, you don't have to build another building for this corporate commitment. Corporate commitment to mission, vision, and values is not found in a building, but in you. Your corporate commitment to the mission, vision, and values will enable the university to continue to develop, change, and grow, and even expand without losing the centerpiece of its life. Leadership must be the embodiment of the mission, vision, and values, expressing visibly the Benedictine charism that it's very much alive here and at the heart of this university. It is the primary responsibility of Dr. Brophy as the president. However, you are all leaders here in some way. What fits for him, fits for you. Your function as a leader in this university is to subscribe to these values, to identify them, to internalize them, and to model them at this university. You as a leader instill, empower, impel, and enable the mission, vision, and values to be present at every level of the university. You as a leader determine the relationship of everyone to these values, and you hold people accountable for living and instilling them. All of you must buy into the mission, vision, and values. Mission, vision, and values will not kill you. In fact, they just might make you a better person to be around. For over 100 years, this university in Lisle has been influenced and inspired by that ancient charism to seek God in community life according to the rule of St. Benedict. You must continue to be immersed in the rule of St. Benedict, to inculcate the history, culture, and values from that rule. And the more you do, the more you will grow in appreciation of the spirit and commitment and the story that brought this ministry to life here in Lisle in the first place, and then to Mesa and Springfield and wherever BU operates. It is the rule of St. Benedict that gives us the essential definition and character to this university. It offers enduring principles and attitudes far beyond whatever culture embodies them. Once embraced, they guide you through whatever the psychological fad of the day, or religious practices of the day, or social philosophies of the day that offer some kind of comfort but lack staying power. No matter how far a group goes in its attempt to be relevant to the modern world, we must keep one foot in that ancient world of 1,500 years ago at all times, because that's what pulls us back time and time again to what is the tried and the true, the really real, to a beyond, to a someone beyond ourselves. And it is to these enduring principles that every age looks. This is your greatest challenge and your greatest opportunity to pass on the heart and soul of what it means to be Catholic and Benedictine. Take pride in the privilege of having been entrusted with carrying on that Benedictine charism that the founders created here in Lisle and entrusted to you to instill and promote at all levels of this university and on all campuses of this university. Thank you.